Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. This video is going to be on how one of Palantir's clients uses AIP to build out an application in only a few weeks. And after going over the presentation, I'll also give my own thoughts on what I like and didn't like. JD Power is an analytics firm focused on the auto industry, where they have consumer and business-facing products. As a big industry, though, they can help affect what cars are made, where, how, and many more details that affect the supply of vehicles to meet consumer demands. JD Power has been working with Palantir before, but surprisingly, Bernardo Rodriguez, the speaker, mentioned they only started working with AIP when they found out about it when it was announced, which means they've only built up this presentation in only a matter of weeks. So kudos to them for hitting the ground running. He does go into why they took this step to take on AIP, while funnily, his own mother mentioned AI in ChatGPT, and this really showed how AI is here and now and has merits that it can bring to consumers and businesses alike. And I think intriguingly, he said their focus with Palantir is outward, or the typical use case of inward efficiencies. So this is a good example of getting out in the world and figuring out the best way to tackle things you don't necessarily have full control of. This is a contrasting view of using your data with my last video on Cisco on who was looking to be efficient in deploying their government cloud solutions. So JD Power is experimenting with AIP right now still to figure out the type of problems that AIP can solve for them. So he goes into a very relatable example of a prompt for a normal consumer would put, or even a business. So here's the first quote. I want to buy my first plug-in hybrid. I currently have a small SUV and think it is right for me and my family of 4. Can you recommend me the latest models? And what's even better is he contrasted this with ChatGPT, which we all know is really showcased why Palantir is important, especially for a business. So for the current versions of ChatGPT, of course, September 2021 was the latest training data cutoff. He brings up what has changed since then. JD Power wants a good solution now, especially since they have the specific up-to-date inventory data and other metrics. So with Palantir, they mapped out ChatGPT's LLM model in conjunction with their latest data securely, which has their model behave within their expectations. You can't just plug your proprietary data into ChatGPT, obviously, unless you want to get in trouble. Now, it's great they do a demo here with what they built. They have a prompt like GUI to help provide the best cars and descriptions, depending on the customer if they're a consumer or business. It's also designed to work off non-industry language, which requires some interpretation there between the data and the prompts, but of course it's supposed to be consumer-friendly. It's also nice because it'll return everything it thinks that would help you decide from its recommendation and a list of relevant features from at least your prompt that would help make that decision, with also further information below to actually locate the car that you want and show up-to-date inventory data in order to find your car and actually buy it. What was also cool about the demo is the feedback, because it'll tie the prompt to the feedback together to further train the model in the background for future use. As they roll this out and gain more data, the model will actually perform better, depending on how you look at it, in combination with that feedback over time. The main pros, though, he mentioned working with Palantir is the speed of development and connection, and also taming the LLM to work in the way you want it to behave. And he actually shows the system prompt variable system that instructs the LLM what to do. Then they also specify in the comparison prompt to only use information they want it to. They don't want it to use that old 2021 data, but use our better, more up-to-date inventory data. And then he basically concludes the rest of the presentation on all the foundational work they've built up with Palantir. And they did this with them in setting up their ontology and relating data to each other, since they have been working with Palantir, which set them up for AIP success. So in the end, he kind of gives the same value proposition that I've been saying throughout for AIP. First, it's faster to deploy with existing third-party LLM safely, so you don't need to build your own. Then, extensibility, meaning you can integrate it into your system and data like we saw, and they only wanted it with their latest inventory data to run off the model because, of course, it's more accurate. Then privacy and governance, which means you know who has access to it and controlling that and ensuring that no one gets in trouble. And I also like how he gave a road ahead at the end, showing they will be doing more, which means Palantir will continue to play a big role in their partnership. So actually, I do have a lot of pros here. There's a lot. First, we have an actual demo of AIP in action, which is nice. And nothing speaks louder than words than actually giving a visualization and easy to walk through example that we can all relate to. He tied in the consumer mindset with ChatGPT and prompts, but also laid out the issue with out-of-date data where they actually want better answers with their inventory proprietary sources, which is also up to date. And he also shows how a strong foundation of Palantir really set them up for success because, like he mentioned, it's only been a few weeks for them to stand up this application and start training it with feedback. Iterating and improving it over time, especially a model, makes more sense to try than to perfect the LLM before deployment. It literally feeds off more data to improve, and hopefully in the way you're expecting your users to use it. And that last road ahead really shows their trust with Palantir and their continued partnership, of course, for longer. Now, con-wise, I don't really have any, but I have said this before with no quantitative metrics to drive home. But obviously, I think since it's more of like a demonstration here, and I'll probably bring this forward to other future videos here regarding AIP con, I don't think a lot of them are really going to give hard metric numbers there because it is really going to hold them to that. So for future videos, it's probably best to remove this kind of con for myself because the expectation is kind of soon too for such a new product. But other than that, it was great in my opinion. But yeah, I'm really curious on your thoughts though on this since it was a demo and video there because it seems really simple and straightforward, but the backend and foundation does seem to work really, and that shows why Palantir is important to those businesses trying to tame LLMs while staying safe and secure, but also moving quickly on artificial intelligence. Right now, it does feel like an arms race in order to get the best artificial intelligence solutions applied to your business, but we don't really know how that's going to look, especially in the future, but hopefully Palantir is a big part of it. But let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video.